Hello friends, I'm Brian, and this is Gizmo Board Games. Today, I'm going to talk about 5 multi-use card games that I really enjoy. And I really like multi-use cards. There are some games where you can use cards in multiple ways. Some of my favorites include like Space Base, where you can use the card as the card itself, or you're using the card itself as the purchase power, as the resource to put other cards down. So that's not really a multi-use card. That's just a card that can be used multiple ways. The same with one of my favorite games, Hamburg, or Bruges in the old days, where you can use various cards in various ways. But the card itself, if you use it for what the card is, that's the way that that card is specifically used. Otherwise, any card can be used in the other various ways to use cards, kind of as a discard to do a thing type action. So that's not really what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is these cards specifically have multiple things on them that you can do with that individual card itself, not just use it for this or that situation, but I can use it for this, or in this way, if I use the top or the bottom, or, we'll see a little bit. Hopefully this comes through a little bit, because there are plenty of other games I like where you use cards in multiple ways. I'm talking about games where there are multiple uses for a single card that are more than just use it as this or that. If that's clear, I don't know. Maybe it's not. But we'll see where we are as we go through this. And I'm going to start off with the king of multiple use cards, I think, or as far as, designers, publishers, that. So my first of all, we're going to start off with the publisher that is just great at coming up with great ways to use multiple or cards in multiple ways, and that is Button Shy Games. They have so many 18 card deck games. Like, you can go to their site and just look at probably hundreds of different games that are all 18 cards to play. There's so much variety in things they do. Specifically, I'm going to pull out Circle the Wagons, but any of their Opolis games, Sprawlopolis, Naturopolis, I forget the other ones. I've got them all. Are similar in regard to the way that Circle the Wagons is. And in Circle the Wagons, you're using the cards. On one side, it has all kinds of different objectives, goals to score points, and the objective basically of points to beat. So you're going to lay out X number of those. I think it's 3 in all these games. So on one side of the card, you're going to shuffle them up, and that'll be your objectives. The other side of the card, they're basically in the quadrants, and you're going to use those quadrants to create your map, your board, your scoring grid, depending on what the game is. In this case, you're creating a scoring grid based on the goals that were laid out. In Sprawlopolis and the like, you're laying out your city grid to try to score the points the way that the goal cards are laid out. But all these cards, you can cover up different sections of them as you lay them out and keep certain parts of them visible and not visible to get the layout you want. That's just hitting the surface of like the Sprawlopolis, Circle the Wagons type game. But Button Shy in general is great at making just 18 cards go a long way. So if you're interested in any of their games, go check out their website. One person who's designed a lot of games for Button Shy is Scott Alms. And I think his best use of multiple cards, or at least that I've played so far, comes in Beer and Bread. In this game, it's a 2-player game, and you can use the cards to tuck under the table. You can use them to immediately discard to get resources. You can use them to play for like revolving resources throughout a round. Just a different variety of ways to use the cards. And then every card itself is a beer or bread that you can also use your resources to make that beer or bread. So I think I listed like 4 different ways to use a single individual card from this game. Bottom's a different thing, the top right's a different thing, top left's a different thing, the middle part's a different thing, I think is how it's laid out. Something along those lines. But Scott Alms in general is great at creating these multi-use cards, and Beer and Bread is my favorite of his game designs. It's a great 2-player game and a great way to really see what I'm talking about in action. You can do this, or this with this single card. We might stray a little bit away from the exact flux of the list and get into more what I was talking about isn't the list, but I think Lacrimosa kind of fits the bill, because in Lacrimosa you're using the action at the top of the card. If you slide that in the top part, you're going to use that action. or you can slide it in the bottom part and use the bottom of the card for its resource generation at the end of the round, so that way you got resources to use next round. And some of the cards you can play out to the side, and you're going to like basically tap them. I don't know if I can use that term. I think Magic's got a, but you know, I mean, turn it to the side and use it one time around for its action, or you can straight up sell it for a different, more permanent type of action, but then it's gone from the game. So just a lot of different ways, a lot of different cards to look at in Lacrimosa. But yeah, it's more top half, bottom half with most of the cards, and then the other cards are, you know, tap or spend basically. But I still think it mostly fits the bill. I really feel good about every card in my hand. Which way do I want to use this? Because if I use it for the action or actions that are available on it, then I'm not going to get the resources at the bottom. And usually the better action cards also have the better resource generation. So it's a lot to think about. It's good fun. I really like Lacrimosa. It's got some good thinkiness and at least dual use cards, if maybe not multi-action cards. And for my last two games, another designers that's really good at creating multi-use cards, or at least getting good use out of them in their games, even if that's not what the game revolves around, because Beer and Bread revolves around those multi-use cards. These two games have a bunch going on, but make great use of multi-use cards. I'll start with Shipwrights of the North Sea. Because this one's more card-based driven. It's the Redux, the new version, the upgrade. I don't know what the old version did. But in this game, you're using cards. You can either use them to basically discard for their discard ability. You can build them, and then they become part of your town that you're now able to place workers on in certain instances. Or you're going to build them so that way, you know, they become ships. Or you can even tuck them under buildings you already have and then use them as an ongoing benefit when you use that building. So basically you've got a tuck ability, an ongoing ability on most every card, I think. You've got a build ability on the cards, which is most of the flux of the card, the big bulk of the card, or you've got a discard it and get that ability. And you've really got to manage, because you've only got 5 or 6 rounds to do everything you need to do, and you really want to build as many ships as you can, because after all, you're a shipwright. So you do want to get some things out to build, but you need the resources to do it, which means you've got to sacrifice other cards, or you've really got to use them strategically for, you know, making new buildings to generate you things and all that stuff. And you've really got to balance every action you've got in this game, and every card gives you those multiple options. And then again, from Garfield Games, because I've got almost all their games at this point, most of them, and they're really good, especially in their North Sea series. This is Raiders of the North Sea, and the multi-use cards in this one are your helpers, your raiders, your Vikings, whatever they are in this game. You're using them to either discard and get their discard ability. You can use them to play and get their play ability, or you can add them to your crew and use them for their crew power when you go on your raids. So that's 3 different options on almost every single card in this game. There's a lot more going on than the cards, but for the cards in this game, there are 3 options on basically every single card. Either they're going to go onto your crew and help you fight, and some of them do things as crew members. Others you just discard and do something based on that discard, and others you play for their play ability, I guess. So there's like 3 different things you can do with the cards in this one as well. So Shim Phillips and Sam McDonald are great, at least in their North Sea series. I think Sam McDonald was around for their North Sea. Maybe he wasn't. But I'm so loud. But those North Sea games specifically, and even some of their other newer games too, have just great ways to get a lot from a little bit of cards and really build some interesting mechanisms and games around them. So those are 5 games that I have on my shelf that I really enjoy, that have multi-use cards, multi-use abilities on cards attached to them. Let me know in the comments below some of your favorite games with multi-use cards. Maybe I forgot some, overlooked some, whatever the case is, or maybe I just need some suggestions to check out, because I need more suggestions of things to check out. So let me know in the comments below what you think fits this bill, what you think of my list. If you like this video, thumbs up, subscribe below to come back for the next video from me. I will see you next time. Bye.